is supported by DMK. At the same time, even the time is too late, since the appeals are pending before the Supreme Court and Chennai High Court, that the 10% reservations that has been given to the economically weaker sections, we are opposing the bill. At least till the pendency of the appeal, the matter has to be either sent to the select committee or the bill has to be divided into two portions, and the first portion, namely socially, economically backward classes, should be given the reservation as contemplated in the bill. Sir, why? I will explain. We were not in the part of the last Lok Sabha where the bill was passed, 103rd or 104th of the amendment, Constitutional Amendment Bill. It is too late. But still, I think that still this bill is based on the old Constitutional Amendment, which was passed in the last Lok Sabha. I think that it is a little bit relevant to submit some points since the matter is pending before the Supreme Court and High Court. Sir, this bill is in the... yeah? Which one? Yes, I am party. DMK is itself a party. DMK itself a party to the suit. That is why I am entitled to say something.
So, sir, if he is pleading the case in the court...
Not the court. No, not myself. DMK. Party.
You should...
No, I am not a petitioner.
Rajaji,
yes.
1 minute.
Please.
When you are a party to it as a member, you should declare the conflict of interest also.
No, not conflict.
Yes.
Sir, this is not conflict of interest. It is nothing secret. It is a constitutional interpretation. I will come to you. Good. I must be thankful, Mr. Ahluwalia, because I will give more information to this house through Mr. Ahluwalia's questions. Sir, object and reasons of this bill clearly states this reservation for 10% to the economically weaker sections are going to be done on the basis of the constitutional amendment that has been done in the last Lok Sabha. So what is the bill? It says two parts. The statement or objection of the bill. At present, economically weaker sections of the citizens have largely remained excluded from attending the higher education institutions and public employment on account of their financial incapacity. Point number 1. Point number 2. With a view to fulfill the mandate of Article 46 and to ensure the economically weaker sections citizens to get fair chance of receiving higher education and participation in employment of services of the state, it has been decided to amend the Constitution of India. Two reasons. One is economically poor people are not adequately represented in the service and the admissions. Number 2, very cleverly they are saying Article 46 enabling to bring the law. So accordingly they brought the law. On the basis of the law, this law has been piloted before the Parliament. So far as reservation is not unknown to the Indians, reservation was taken place some 2,500 years ago. One may be surprised to say how reservation can be given 2,500 years back. That reservation is something inhuman and undemocratic. How it is inhuman and undemocratic? 4 varnas were divided. Brahmins, Brahmanas, then Kshatriyas, then Vaishyas, then Sudras, then the outcast, scheduled caste. What are all the occupation or what are the job can be carried out by the 4 classes? That is also a reservation. That reservation is anti-human, inhuman, and undemocratic. Now, after this constitution, where we are saying that we the people of India having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, secular, socialistic, democratic republic. That is the opening sentence of the constitution. After the constitution, what is the reservation that has been done? It is human and democracy. Since democracy is not merely form of a government alone, it is essentially an attitude of respect and reverence towards a fellow man. So in that sense, I am claiming that the reservation is not unknown to the Indian, but the only thing is that reservation is inhuman and undemocratic. This reservation is human and democratic. Sir, as a member of DMK, I must have pride because our leader, late leader, Dr. Karunanidhi, and his mentor, Adingar Anna alias C.N. Annadurai, and our father of Tamil nation, E.V.R. Periyar Ramaswamy, we are the pioneer for the reservation. Even before the enactment of Constitution was held in this house by 1951. The first amendment came into existence in 1951 because of Dravidian movement, when the reservation was denied to the backward classes. Even prior to that, it may be unknown to the house, 1921, when our government, Dravidian government, in 1927, when our government were in the power, governments were in the power, we enacted law for the socially, educationally backward classes, for scheduled caste, and including Muslims in those days. one cannot dreamt in the year 1951. So in that sense, I am very proud that we are entitled to say something, whether it is old bill, new bill, with due respect. The constitutional validity must be upheld. In that sense only, I may be permitted to 5 or 10 minutes to speak more, sir. Sir, I am coming to two aspects. As I mentioned, two aspects were mentioned in the bill. One is, economically weaker sections were not adequately represented. Number two, 46. First, I am coming to 46. Sir, what 46 says? 46 says, the state shall not promote with special care educational and economic interests of the weaker section of the people, in particular, scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, and shall protect from the social injustice and all forms of exploitation. The word which was coined in the section is economic interest. Only economic interest. Whereas the constitutional provisions 15 and 16 says, those who are socially and educationally backward classes are entitled for the recruitment and the education institutions admissions. So where is the one represent the class? Constitution says class, whereas 46 says under which the legislation is being brought here is only section. There is a difference between the class and section. Article 14 was clearly interpreted by the Supreme Court. According to Article 14, reasonable classification can be made by the court or by the parliament by way of legislation. But class legislation to a specific section cannot be made. That is a clear direction given by the Supreme Court in so many cases. So what is reasonable classification is reservation for socially and educationally backward. What is the class legislation? You are inserting a new degree or a new value or a new term that economically weaker sections. Sir, we are not against for economically weaker sections. Economical interest is the word that has been inculcated in the constitutional values or constitutional text. Then you have to give the more scholarships. You have to give the more loans, or declare that the entire educational fees is completely wiped out for those economically weaker sections. But bringing this 10% into the reservation quota, I think that somewhere, some spaces is going to be forcibly trespassed by these people by getting the social justice for really oppressed and depressed classes, both in the OBC, BC and SC, ST communities. Which one? No, madam, I am not ready. So for that I am telling, just a glance of incidents I am telling, because the policy of the reservation is not a matter of complete choice or charity. It is a right which was substantiated even before the British government. The root and origin, or I may say the genesis, mechanism and development of reservation is it will go back to the era of 1980. I will give the details. Sir, first reservation. Economically backward. The word always brought to the text by the British people, either in the parliament or in the outside or in the regional government, is always backward. Of course, it includes the untouchables. The 1998 appointment committee by the Mysore government to inquire into the means of encouraging members of the backward classes in the public services. 1920 Joint Select Committee of the British Parliament reviewing the Southward Committee report and emphasizing the need of education advancement of the depressed and backward classes. Then 1921, Institution Preferential Recruitment Board, backward communities, who were defined in London, all communities other than Brahmins who are not adequately represented in public services. 1925, Ministry Report on Reforms, Enquiry Commission regarding backward classes, a synonym for depressed classes, untouchables, in distinction to non-Brahmins. Again 1928, definition by Hartog Committee as castes or classes which are educationally backward, including the depressed classes, aboriginals, hill tribes and criminal tribes. 1929, Indian Central Committee, it says aboriginals and criminal tribes and the less advanced inhabitant of British India. 1930, again State Committee Bombay, only aboriginals, hill tribes and others. 1930, Madam Chairperson, very important, the Simon Commission refers only to the term intermediate classes and the non-Brahmin movement without any reference to backward and depressed classes. Again 1932, Indian Francis Committee, it says who is backward, untouchables and Sudras. 1932, memorandum submitted by United Province League suggesting that the Hindu backward as a more suitable nomenclature to include socially, educationally backward people. 1936, reports in the Times of India on the inflation of backward classes as per the Madras Presidency by inclusion of several non-Brahmin communities. 1937, again economically and backward classes, adoption by Thiruvangur of term and backward classes. 1947, separate reservation, that is GO 3437, Public Department, 21st November 1947 by the government. Separate reservations provided in Madras in the services of backward class Hindus for about 145 communities. Then, after 95, Constitutional Assembly debate starts. What happened in the debates? Pandit Hardaynath Dansuru, UP, he brought the explanation nomenclature for backward class. Delegates from North assumed that backward class was vague term and was hence really a synonym for the scheduled caste. Then what happened to the T.T. Krishnamachari? He says, we should not go for the reservation on the basis of the caste. I will tell a little more time. The Ambedkar replied to the question for T.T. Krishnamachari in the Constitutional Assembly. As I said, I quote, Dr. Ambedkar says, as I said, the drafting committee had to produce a formula which would reconcile these 2 points of view. Firstly, that there shall be equality of opportunity. Secondly, there shall be reasons in favor of certain communities which have not so far had representation in the administration. This is the answer which was given by the Dr. Ambedkar to the T.T. Krishnamachari. Sir, why I am summarizing all these things? The route is 1880. First amendment took place in 1951. Till your government, till the last Lok Sabha, Constitution and the legislators of British era, everywhere, economically backward classes was not at all injected either in the Constitution or in any executive order which was brought or which was meant for the reservation for the depressed classes. Now suddenly you brought this legislation, Constitutional Amendment, and by that you are giving this economic 10% to the economically weaker section. 3 minutes, madam, I will finish it. That is why, let it be referred to the select committee. Appeals are pending before the court. Till then, this portion, 10% to the economically weaker section, can be kept in abeyance. I will come to little bit, 1 or 2 minutes. Whether it is even economically weaker section is liable to be substantiated before the scrutiny. Supreme Court scrutiny. I will come. Second part. See, what is the analysis? No, analysis. Now, you brought for 10% reservation. What is the analysis? I will come. What is the analysis? Is it standard? Is it static? Is it reasonable under Article 14 of the Constitution? Whether it is abuse or misuse. The last government, UPA government, appointed a committee under Sinha Commission, under Mr. Major General Sinha, for the specific purpose, whether 10% can be given to the economically weaker section under the Constitution, reservation. Very specific question, with a reasonable reasons and objects was given clearly. That report says, economically backward classes can be identified by states for extensively welfare measures only. Only for welfare measures. Reservation in Indian context is a form of affirmative action for socially, educationally backward class alone. Who said? The committee appointed by the UPA government. Economic backwardness cannot be the criteria for the reservation in education institutions and the jobs. A government formed a committee. That committee had a very categorical report. You are setting aside the report. You are bringing in a conspiratorial manner. I can tell there is a conspiracy. Why? Even copies were not circulated. It is available in the press within 2 days, without any, even it was listed in the business. without listing the business, constitutional amendment, it is very shame on the part of the government that the first time, without citing in the list of business, a constitutional amendment took place. Second point I want to say, see, in the Savani's case, in 1991, the former Prime Minister Narshimha wanted to have same symmetrical legislation. It was struck down by the Supreme Court. Sinha report out. One minute. Narshimha report. Then economical political lately made an analysis. Sir, 2 minutes. No, not power of the parliament. The way in which you brought the legislation is something fishy. No, I am not. That is why I am telling you ready to select committee. No. The way in which the legislation was brought. Sir, madam, I must be very categorical and firm. I will not get any fear. I am not telling the parliament amendment. I am telling the way in which you go before the amendment. That is even lot of room for suggestion.
बोलिए आगे आपका समाप्त हुआ आपका समय समाप्त हुआ माननीय प्रतिमा मंडल जी आप बोलिए
Madam, I will finish. So for all these reasons, I am opposing this 10% reservation to the